Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction, or rather the redirect to my blind reaction, of The Loud House, Season 2, Episodes 36 through 39. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot to say about this. Yeah, I hope and expect to see more of the stuff that I always hope and expect to see. The continued progression of the series, of the way the stories are told, more focus on the sisters rather than on Lincoln and Clyde, and yada yada yada. Obviously, I know nothing about what's to come. I know nothing about these 4 episodes, and yes, we are doing 4 episodes this time around. Because, well, not really any real reason, more just that's what I decided to do. I mean, why not, right? So yeah, I'm hoping that we get something good, at the very least. Something that's entertaining and enjoyable. We'll see, though. We'll see. Either way, I really don't have any way to fill time, so let's just get on with this. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Following to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Excuse me. Oh, that's a fun way to start. So this set of 4 episodes here was one of the best sets we've had by far. These episodes, I don't know if I'd necessarily say the episodes were all like the best episodes we've had, but just as a set together, they were one of the best sets we've had. All of these episodes were really great, and let me go into why. So, episode 36, we have a new family moving in next door, or at least very close by. The Loud parents go to welcome them, and they find them a little odd, how perfect they are, but they start to think that they're failing their kids because they see that these parents are trying to make their kids so well-rounded and perfect and everything. And so Lynn Sr. and Rita start to think that they're failing their own kids. So they try to get them to be well-rounded by having them do all this other stuff that kind of is the opposite of what they normally do. And of course the kids don't like it. The kids are really against this all. And it eventually does go too far to where the kids, the Loud kids, end up kind of not really embracing it, but just kind of like giving up. They give up on complaining about it. They give up on even trying to have normal lives. And even when their parents are like, oh, go have fun, they're like, nah, that's not conducive to getting ahead in life, basically. And they seem so just depressed about it. And so Rita and Lynn Sr. realize that, yeah, this isn't good. And the lesson at the end is what really made this for me. And sorry that I sound like I'm about to start crying, because all 4 of these episodes nearly made me cry. I had to do everything I could to hold it in. And for this one, it was definitely the lesson that did it for me. The lesson that, yes, this stuff is important to a degree, but at the same time, if you try to control your kids' lives, if you try to force this kind of stuff on them when they're young, they're going to resent you for it. It's going to ruin their lives, and you're going to realize before long that they're not having a good quality of life. They have to enjoy play. They have to be kids. They have to have fun, do what they love, follow their passions. Even if it may not seem like they're well-rounded. You can't just like force these ideologies on them. And it kind of makes me think back to High Score Girl. about how Ono had all of this shit forced on her, and how I really wish that show had actually given us some kind of conclusion to that. But it's like here we see the parents realize this mistake, realize that they don't like what their kids have become, and that they were trying to do this to live up to some standard that they themselves didn't necessarily agree with. And that's important, because I was raised in a household with parents who tried to force this kind of stuff on me. And even nowadays, at 27 fucking years old, I'm still in that boat. Living with a parent who tries to force this kind of stuff on me. And it's caused just horrible, horrible life for me. From depression, anxiety, lack of social skills. I mean, this and constant abuse and stuff has just... I don't like the way I am, honestly. I don't like the way I've become, how socially timid I am. How I can't... I have exceptionally bad trouble starting conversations with people. How most of the time when I'm hanging out with people, I'll often just sit alone and do my own thing, and not even talk to anyone unless they say something to me first. I hate that. I hate that I feel so nervous around people. I hate that I feel like if I try to make friends, people are going to betray me. But that's how I was raised. I was raised to believe that basically it's a dog-eat-dog world. I was raised to believe that I had to put the pursuit of a quote-unquote better lifestyle above anything else, and it's hurt me. And I've in the recent years come to realize this, and and that's why I live my life the way I do. Why I do YouTube and put so much focus and attention on it. Why I do the various things I do with friends. From the game nights I go to hanging out and doing stuff online. Why so much of these shows are so important to me, because it's almost like I'm kind of living a childhood I didn't get to have. And don't get me wrong, I played games when I was a kid. I watched TV. I hung out with friends plenty of times, a lot even. But even when you're doing that kind of stuff, when your parents are almost shaming you for it, and they're making you feel like you're not actually accomplishing anything. They're constantly berating you and punishing you for what they perceive as bad grades in a school system that puts the worst things first and doesn't even focus on teaching and raising children in a life conducive to true happiness, or just a good quality of life in general. It's just like... So the point is that that did get to me. Seeing this quote unquote perfect family, I hated them. Not because of some kind of just obligation to hate those kinds of characters in shows or movies or games or whatnot. And by the way, I do apologize for the sudden lag. I have no idea where that's coming from. But anyways, not just because of that, but because I faced that. And when the loud parents started doing it as well, and you could see how depressed it was making their kids, it hurt. And that lesson at the end, when they realized what they were doing wrong, and even showed this other family that sometimes that you need to let kids be kids, that this other stuff isn't necessarily unimportant, but that you need to let kids be kids and take things at their own pace and in their own way. It got to me. But moving on, I could talk about that forever, but we do have 3 other episodes. So episode 37, uh, Luna wants to get money for a Mick Swagger charity auction thing. She wants to get this pit-stained old shirt he used to wear. Um, and Lincoln, meanwhile, is trying to get money for a Smooch concert. This concert for his favorite rock band, and as well as backstage passes and stuff. So Luna convinces Lincoln to help her get the money since he's apparently a master of convincing, and he does, and she gets the money. Unfortunately, all the other sisters find out, and they have Lincoln help them do the same. So everyone ends up getting money from the parents for their own little pursuits, and when Lincoln tries, they're out of money, so he doesn't get any. Now, they don't tell him that right off the bat, they just tell him no, and he's upset. So he tries to convince them in the same ways that all his sisters did, but eventually does find out that, yeah, they just have no money left. The sisters start to notice how upset this is making him, and so they feel guilty about taking all the money, basically. So, to make it up to him, they put on their own little Smooch concert outside in the yard, and even managed to convince Smooch themselves to come. And it's just a really sweet, beautiful moment of these sisters doing something not only just really nice for their brother as an apology for basically taking advantage of him, to a small degree, mind you, but still, it's not only just really nice, it's just really entertaining as an episode. Like, seeing how all of the sisters and all convince the parents to give them the money is really fun. And then the concert part at the end with the song and all is really entertaining and really enjoyable. This episode, unlike the first episode, which definitely had more of a personal note to me, this one was more along the lines of, I just really enjoyed it. I just thought it was a really fun, cute, nice episode. So there's not as much to talk about with this one. But yeah, I really liked it. Episode 38. So everyone's starting to get annoyed with Luann's constant puns and jokes. And so after she's done inviting all of them to this event that she's going to be performing at, she ends up overhearing them complaining. They are calling her annoying and saying they're sick of this. And it hurts her, like really bad, to the point where she stops being Luann. She gives up comedy. She tries to throw away all of her comedy-based stuff. Every chance there is for a joke, she ignores. And she just basically acts normal, which is not normal for her. The siblings start to realize that this is wrong and start to realize their own mistake. So they invite her to the comedy event that she was going to perform at, and Lincoln gets on stage and bombs. Now, at first it's implied he's doing so purposefully, but then it kind of also implies after that he wasn't, which is actually funny in its own way. But she notices him bombing and gets actually upset by him ruining all the jokes. So she goes up there and fixes everything and starts getting into it again, like really passionate about it. And eventually afterwards they apologize to her and everything kind of goes back to normal. We've seen this kind of episode done with the show in the past, but I think why this was so good was because of it being done with Luann. We've seen multiple episodes now where Luann has really gone full force in the jokes and the pranks and stuff, especially with the 2 April Fool's episodes we've had. We've seen how insane she can get with that. So we understand how her siblings could be annoyed by it. But we also understand that her siblings still love her and don't want her to give up her passions, that sometimes they just need a break. And in the end, even Luann admits, I understand I can be annoying, but I'm going to try and hold back sometimes now. And that's good. It's a good lesson because it's like, yeah, you understand that you were going a little bit hard on it, but you're going to learn from that. You're not going to give up your passion anymore. You're going to keep following what you love. You're just going to be a little more respectful of your family members with it. And that's really good because, again, it builds off of that continuity from what we've seen of her in the past. We have seen her go too far. We have seen how intense she can get with it. So this works because of that. Seeing Luann so heartbroken by this and seeing her just completely fall apart and, again, try to be normal, it hurt to watch because, again, you felt that pain when she overheard them and felt that her own passion was being hated, that she felt that the thing she was most passionate about was not just being unappreciated, but being hated by the people she loved the most. And she was willing to give it up for them. That hurts. That's hard to watch, but important. And it's important to see them understand that they fucked up there. That they could see how miserable Luna truly was. Even though she wasn't acting miserable, she wasn't like crying or hiding herself away, they could tell that this is not who Luna is meant to be. Or not Luna, Luann. This is not who Luann is meant to be. And so they fixed it. They wanted to bring that smile back to her face. And that's beautiful. That's awesome. And it's like Luann is admittedly one of my least favorite members of the Loud family. I will completely admit to that. I love puns personally, and I enjoy comedy, but she does get to be a little too much for me personally. And I like how that's kind of addressed here and how she's pledging to try to tone it down a bit sometimes. That's good. I like that. It's character development. It's depth. It's something that this is what I wanted to see with these characters. So I couldn't be happier about this. But then we get to our final episode, and this was my favorite by far. And it's funny because Lisa's not like up there as my like favorite Loud sibling or anything. I do like her, but this one surprised me. So Lisa's class is getting their very first report cards ever. Lisa gets A's in everything across the board. Not really unexpected, except one thing. She gets an F in social skills, which is actually very expected. We know Lisa, and we know that while she can interact well with her siblings, otherwise she's kind of a loner. Because what she does, her scientific work and stuff, is very solitary. The kind of stuff she specifically does is very solitary. And that's not saying all sciences. No, there's definitely sciences that you can take part in that require working with others. But she sees other people in this way more as an assistant or a subject, someone under her, rather than a partner, you know? Or a friend, obviously. Now, her teacher tells her that, yeah, she hasn't made any friends, she's not been social with the other students, and that if she wants the grade bumped up, she has to make a friend. And Lisa's, like, kind of, like, given that little face to it and all. But she understands she wants that A, so she's going to do it. So she studies her siblings to try and find out what makes a good friend. And she even studies her father, seeing him hanging out with a friend of his. And she comes up with all of these examples of things that, yeah, these are legitimate examples of how friends can connect and be close to each other. Now, not all of them are always 100% accurate, but they are all legitimate things. And especially the part about like having common interests. Common interest is, in my eyes, very important to friendship. I hate the idea that a lot of people push that opposites attract. That is not true. Opposites don't attract unless you're talking like, I don't know, magnetism or sciencey stuff. In terms of people, no. In terms of people, friends are formed because of common interests, shared bonds. It's actually the complete opposite of opposites attract. No, that's not saying that there are friends, there aren't friends who do have different interests in some ways. Sure, of course. There's a lot of my friends who aren't bronies. I mean, that's just fact. There's a lot of my friends who aren't even that into animation in general. But we have shared friendship in other ways. We do still have things in common. So all of these that were mentioned are legitimate things, but to certain degrees and in certain ways and all of that. But either way, so she studies her family to learn how to make friends, and she decides to put it into practice. She approaches this girl in her class named Darcy, who's adorable as fuck. Seriously, she is cute as a button, and I love her. And honestly, she is the only character of her age in this show to act her age. Seriously, all of the Loud family, all of the Loud family in the younger range of ages act way too. I don't know if you heard that, but someone zoomed by. Act way too old, to be honest. And I get it, cartoon logic and stuff. But it's like, this is the first kid this age or younger like that who actually acts like a kid that age. And it's refreshing to see. And she's just fucking adorable. But yeah, so Lisa tries to start being friends with her, and she's kind of unsure about how to do it at first, but she's making an effort, and eventually she does get her teacher to acknowledge her. However, after presumably getting the A, she pretty much abandons Darcy. She's like, oh, I didn't even think about remaining friends after. And she basically ends up telling Darcy, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I don't see the point in it. And this hurts Darcy's feelings. Darcy is heartbroken because she legitimately started to like Lisa as a friend. And the teacher sees this. The teacher's like, okay, you're not getting that A if you do this kind of thing. This is not right. And she even puts her on timeout because of it. But while on timeout, Darcy comes over and, as a good friend would do, not only just clearly forgives her, but offers her a bit of cookie. Well, a cookie in general. And it's at that moment that Lisa finally understands. Friends don't have to serve any kind of big logical purpose. They don't have to have any kind of noteworthy importance to you in that kind of way. Friends are important because they make your life better from an emotional and social standpoint. Friendship is important. And that's another thing that kind of goes in with the first episode about what I said about my feelings about having parents who kind of force you to focus on the wrong things and stuff. Because a lot of those parents that will, like, even if they allow you to have friends, it's like, oh, you have to still put, like, oh, you have to put your studies first. You have to put becoming a valuable member of society first, as if that actually means anything. And it's just like, again, as with the first episode, there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff necessarily, but no, you have to put stuff like this as a bigger priority than these kinds of people will say. Friends are insanely important. There's so many examples of parents who don't have friends, who just like live their lives as parents and don't have other adults who they just hang out with. They're just parents. There are way too many examples of that, and it's terrible. But I also know so many examples of parents who are just good friends as well. I have good friends who are parents, who I'll hang out with and do stuff with. But yeah, they still have kids, and that's fine. Sometimes, like, parents need to have friends too, and they need to instill that on their kids. The friendship is important. Humans are a social species. We are meant to connect. We are meant to be together. So, yeah, this episode was really impressive in the way it... Excuse me. Excuse me. Wow. It's really impressive in the way it shows the importance of friendship. And the fact that it was done with Lisa is obviously the best way to do so. Because Lisa is that kind of more logical thinking person. She is the one who thinks like, okay, how can this help me progress in my pursuits? And so seeing her have to deal with something that's not conducive to those pursuits, but instead conducive to her as a person, and seeing how she struggles with that, but eventually learns the importance of it, is really good. It's really excellent in its execution. So yeah, these 4 episodes were all fantastic. Again, I don't know if I'd say that they're my favorites of the series. It's way too hard to say that, like, just right off the bat and everything, and especially I'd have to compare it to past episodes that I might have to basically get reacquainted with. But yeah, they're definitely very good, and I really enjoy them. So yeah, tell me in the comments below what you thought of these 4 episodes of The Loud House Season 2, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles,